FM.
Hello, good evening and welcome to a Tuesday night edition of Extra Time. I'm Ronan Quirk. We're here until 8 o'clock this evening. Love to hear from you. Our text number is 083 311 3311. You can also get us on WhatsApp messages 083 311 3311. And we're on Blue Sky. Extra Time at bsky.social if you prefer to communicate that way. Later on tonight's show, we'll be announcing the Tipp FM Sports Star of the Month for January. Lots of great nominations came in. If you like, the weekend we've just had generated and garnered a few nominations as well. What a weekend of sport it was. We will announce the winner of that prize before we go off air this evening at 8 o'clock. We've lots to cover, lots of GAA in schools hurling in a moment. We've got Tip Offaly in National Hurling League. We obviously have Tip Football, a win over Antrim, ladies football, Camogie, all to come on tonight's show. We've local rugby as well, and we'll also have a feature on the Tipperary Supporters Club as they celebrate their 40th year in existence. That number again is 083 311 3311. Let's have a word with Shane Brophy first and foremost, because the Harty Cup will remain in Tipperary for a fourth successive year. Shane, how are you?
Good, Ronan.
It's heady times for colleges hurling in this county, isn't it? I mean, there was a time when we couldn't go, I think, one win in 30, 40 years. I think St. Joseph's, or Bursley, I think was it, who booked the trend way back.
Yeah, I think there was a 50-year span where Bursley was Bursley in 78 were the only time we won in a 50-year span between 59 and 2009 when Nenagh CBS ended their fruitless run. So yeah, but like to think that it's four in a row now, and go back to Templemore in 2017, like four different schools have got their hands on it in Tipperary. It just shows that the level of player development and work that's been going on at club level and schools level and inter-county level at underage is really bearing fruit. Bearing fruit.
And fair play to Nenagh. There are now a couple of their players, maybe 3 or 4 of them, who are walking around with 2 Harty Cup medals. I mean, these are extraordinarily difficult things to win. And to put it in context for our listeners, like, this is not unprecedented. There are fellas who are walking around with 2 medals, but it's really unusual in a Tipperary context that a Tipperary player has 2 Harty Cups.
Absolutely, and I suppose it's 2 and 3 years. It's not consecutive ones either. So like you have the likes of like Owen Dahan, who was 16-year-old 2 years ago, scoring 3 points in the final, who's probably one of the fringe players, one of the guys that was really coming, and then they see him last Sunday as captain, man of the match with 12 points. Austin Duff, who got 1-1 in the final 2 years ago, was a real titan in the middle of the field, and Joe Dwyer as well. He came on as a sub 2 years ago, and he had an outstanding game at the weekend. I think I had him for down 2 points in play, and I think he won another 3 frees. Like, it was the last maybe couple of games in the likes of Bancha and Templederry, where maybe the pitches are tight and the pitches are slow. Like, he got onto a wide, firm surface in Cusack Park last Saturday, and he really thrived, and we saw the best of him. And it was a tremendous game. Like, I suppose it was really lived up to the bill, and like a cracking atmosphere. Like, Cusack Park was just a perfect venue for it, even though Nenagh would have had to travel. But I would have thought if the match was in Semple Stadium or the Gaelic Ground, there would have been lost in that side of a crowd. It really led to a cracking occasion, and we got a great game to match.
It kind of reminded you a little bit of those great days we've had in Nolan Park at minor and under 20. You know, it seems purpose-built for those kind of games.
Absolutely, yeah. And then maybe it's something that they consider maybe having, maybe if the likes of maybe a Tip or a Clare or Limerick school are in the final, it's maybe the likes of Ennis that host it, because it just adds to that element of it. And yeah, it's probably something I put to Patrick Ryan, who was on that minor team in 2024. He was one of the Nenagh players, and that experience of going down to Nolan Park and winning in your own backyard, and going down to play Flannans, who were only about a 10-minute walk away from Cusack Park. Like, it was amazing that ordinarily maybe there could be a bit of grumbling, maybe having to go and play a final like that in the other school's town, but there was none, because I suppose the good memories of 2024 came to mind, and like Nenagh, the Tuesday, I'd say it easily 50-50 split in terms of the crowd. Like, you wouldn't have known it down there, and I say 7,000 people to come out on a Saturday at lunchtime. It just shows you the prestige of this competition, like from both Clare and Tip.
Spare thought as well for Billy O'Brien, who would have been on that team. He was instrumental in that Tipp minor win with 13 men against Kilkenny after extra time 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's just a cruel luck for Billy. Like he ruptured an Achilles in training in the middle of last week, just ahead of the final, and like Billy wasn't long back. He spent I think most of last year out after having a hip operation. I think he only came back around county final day for Nenagh. He came on as a sub in that game and was really finding his feet again at a tremendous semi-final against Hurlers, and scored a cracking goal in the quarter-final against Middleton. But it just showed that it epitomised the depth of the Nenagh panel, and it's probably what maybe differentiates them from the 2024 team. There's definitely the panel is deeper, and Hugo Healy stepped in there. He wasn't out of place. It released Patrick Ryan back to the half-hour line. He was outstanding as well. And then the players that came on, and it was an interesting nugget that Donnacha Donald revealed afterwards. That I think within an hour of Billy getting injured at training, that there were most of the panel were gone around to his house to be with him. It just shows how together the group are, and I suppose why it's brought them this far.
Do you know, I was reading JJ Kennedy in the Nationalist today, and he was making a point about the margins of victory in the last 4 Harty Cup finals. I think 3 points is the most. Hurlers last year had a 3-point win. It was 2 points on Saturday. The previous year it was a point. And when Flannans and Nenagh played in the round robin earlier in this competition, it was a draw. I mean, the margins at this level are so tight. And Tipp have had a bit of the rub of the green. They've earned their wins, but the three schools we're talking about at the moment, I think it epitomises how difficult a thing it is to win, and you just have to have a slice of luck too.
Absolutely, but I think I think there's definitely a case that I think Nenagh were probably the deserving team. They hit about four more wides than Flannans, and probably had the better. There wasn't too many goal chances, but probably KJ Dunn when he came on, he probably had the pick of them. I think you got to think now that if they're going on and trying to maybe turn that Harty into a Crow Cup, that the likes of him and to make his debut as a sub in a Harty final, and on another day he could have scored a goal and 2 points. They've given debuts to 4 different players in the last in knockout stage. It just shows that the rate of development guys can really come on in a short period of time, especially when guys that are so young. And it's just I suppose for Nenagh, who were looking on, I suppose when Cashel won it 3 years ago, and Nenagh were looking at Templemore have got one, Cashel, the Abbey have got one, Rockwell won a good few back through the generations, and Nenagh for a long time were the best men, but they've got married over the last 2 years in terms of the Harty.
Yeah, it's tremendous for Tipperary, and I'm going to ask you an impossible question, but I'll ask you anyway. I mean, this obviously is feeding into success with Tipp at underage, minor, under 20s as well, which is great. But I'm wondering, are the schools polishing diamonds that are coming from clubs, or are we not giving schools enough credit? There's tremendous work going on in the schools, but there's also, it overlooks how much development these lads have done at club level when they start developing for Dean Ryan or whatever it is, or Harty. The point I'm trying to make. I don't know where the credit should lie. Probably it should be evenly split.
Oh yeah, I think so, and I think Tipperary definitely benefits from the fact that we expose so many players to Harty level. You think this year you had Nenagh, Templemore, Turles and Cashel in the Harty, and Clonmel. We had 5. We had the most schools in the county or in the province in the competition, and there's different years where maybe the Abbey could be in there, or and then you have Carrigan Shore winning it a couple of years ago, and there's other schools going through the levels. St Mary's and Newport are making great strides. So we're going to forget St Joseph's in Bursley won a Munster C final last weekend as well. So Colossus Denise King Care were very competitive. They only lost the quarter final in the B to the eventual winners, Harty CBS. I think that the fact that we probably expose, you're talking the guts of maybe 100, 150 players to the Harty level every year is terrific. And I think it's definitely helping Tipp. You look at Kilkenny, where it's really Kilkenny CBS and St. Kieran's. We were probably looking there in envy for a while, but maybe we've got our structure in place now where we're getting definitely 4, if not 5 schools every year playing up to that level.
And some Tipp lads were going over to Kieran's in order to play at that level. Some Tipp lads used to go on board in Flannan's in order to play at that level. And they don't need to. Like, I know the boarding is closed in Flannan's, for example. But the point I'm making is that the centres of excellence are very much here at home now. And it's tremendous to see. I'm going to move on to St Joseph's Bursley. Only a single point over CBS Dungarvan in this one. Again, the margins are so tight when you get to Munster College's finals.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose that's what it was 20 years ago when the teams met in a B semi-final, and I suppose Bursley through the years they wouldn't have the biggest pick in the world in terms of numbers, but they're very proud of their hurling there, and I say they fully deserve that win, led by Micheál Collins. I suppose they've got crucial goals in either half. Probably definitely played second fiddle in the first half of Dungarvan, but really powered on in the second, and there's only a late goal that put a bit of gloss on it from Dungarvan. But for them, they'll be looking to kick on and maybe turn that into an All-Ireland over the next couple of weeks. Claustrophobic Roscrea won a lower grade All-Ireland in recent years. I think St Mary's in Newport did as well. So it's really important for these schools, and I suppose it's probably trying to incentivise them to try and get up the levels as much as they can. Because you see the likes of Nenagh, you had 10 clubs feeding onto that panel of 43, and there's going to be great excitement in the area. And while it's great, you probably don't want the likes of maybe Borsa falling away, and maybe some of the smaller schools. We want those schools trying to compete at higher level as much as possible, because I suppose the rising tide will feel all boats as well.
Yeah, and some of those lads will be very much part of Brendan Cummins's thoughts in coming weeks. I'm sure they're already in there, maybe, working with Brendan and the under-20 panel.
Absolutely, yeah, and I suppose he's in a similar predicament to what he faced last year, Brendan, in terms of, we'd all hope Nenagh would probably get all the way to define the Cork Cup Final on St Patrick's Day, but that'll be coming up very close to the start of the Munster under-20, and we saw maybe last year when Tipperary played the first round of the under-20, they lost to Limerick. They were a bit, I suppose, they hadn't been together and maybe played a lot of challenge matches together, but we saw as the championship wore on, the more and more streamlined it becomes. So look, I'm sure Brendan is more I suppose
savvy about
streetwise, savvy how to keep lads going. And look, a winning team is always great, and Nenagh, they had a great homecoming at the school there this morning after the bank holiday, and I'm sure, look, after the next couple of days their focus will move on to getting to an All-Ireland final. They've won an All-Ireland without winning the Harty back.
That was with
2012.
Jason,
Yeah, and 2024 they won the Harty but didn't win the All-Ireland. So I suppose that the last thing is to try and do both in the same year, and they certainly have the talent to do it, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, great days indeed. As always, thanks for your time, Shane. I really appreciate your efforts, and many congratulations to both St Joseph's Bursley and Nenagh CBS. Thanks, Shane.
Pleasure. Thanks
indeed. Shane Brophy of the Nenagh Guardian bringing us his thoughts on Nenagh CBS winning the Harty Cup. Absolutely tremendous. Let's have a quick word with Ken Hogan. Ken, these are heady times for Tipperary schools, aren't they?
Yeah, huge, absolutely fantastic, and the crowds as well that it's bringing to the Harty Cup games. Almost 8,000 people in Cusack Park and Innes, so definitely Tipperary hurling, judging by the people that travel as well to Tullamore on Sunday. Everybody's really looking forward to a big season.
Yeah, it's hard to understate really the point Shane made there about it's not just winning and it's great and you're playing at a high level, it's the exposure so many schools are having. We'd 5 schools in the Harty this year. I mean, Thurles CBS I think only lost the semi by a point or two against Nenagh. It would have made a fitting final anyway. It's those fellas playing high octane games despite their relative youth.
Without a shadow of a doubt, and Tipperary CBS also narrowly beaten. So, I mean, Cashel previous winners as well. So all these teams, Clonmel High School, going very well as well, and obviously we know about the football heroics as well, So, I mean, it's something to behold, particularly exposing these players to top-class sport, but above all, I suppose, getting that experience and knowing that what can be achieved with hard work, and compliments to all the underage mentors and the coaches and the teachers that are bringing these people through.
Absolutely, and I'm just wondering, some of those Nenagh lads had that experience of the extraordinary events in Nolan Park in an All-Ireland minor against Kilkenny 2 years ago, and I'm sure that experience stood to them going down the stretch. The point was made by Shane that they were the worthy winners, but it was a tight affair going down the stretch in that match in Cusack Park.
Oh yeah, especially in Cusack Park, and of course without Billy O'Brien,
great player,
injury victim as well. The guy who got an outstanding goal in that minor final in Kilkenny. So they looked at their bench. They weren't afraid to use their bench, and all these players that came in, came in with great fervour, and above all, I suppose, were comfortable in their setting. So I think Donna and his management team have done a wonderful job, and the hunger and desire. I'm delighted to hear that. Obviously, there's a huge, interest in going further, because some of the time there is a history, obviously, not just Tipperary teams, but in Munster teams, that the Harty Cup is nearly enough. It's a big event, but Nenagh have achieved both All Ireland, Cork Cup with Jason Ford inspired, and now 2 years ago with the Harty Cup, and now they have an opportunity to go a little bit further, in the All Ireland series.
Make their own chapter, indeed. Just before we turn to Tip, Offaly in Tullamore on Sunday, one texter says, well done to Nenagh CBS on winning the Harty Cup, and here's hoping the high school can make it a Munster double for Tipperary schools. Great to see young men from Commercials, Clonmalogue, Kilsheelan, Moyle Rovers and Grange Mokler put aside local rivalry to bring honour to their school, and not forgetting our friends from across the border in the Narra Valley who have played their part in getting to the final. It would be a hell of a story if we wish them well. Tralee CBS, I think, is the opposition for Clonmel High School next weekend in the Kearney-Vurry. That's the A football, the football equivalent of the Harty Cup, and that's on next Saturday. We wish Clonmel High School the very best of luck. Ken, Tip went to Tullamore, did a job on Offaly. I mean, they were hot favourites going in. They look like their foot is as firmly on the pedal as it needs to be, or at this time of the year.
Yeah, for luck, it was a fine afternoon. The Tullamore pitch was in great order, and so much so that all the youngsters, predominantly Tipperary youngsters, by the way, could play at half time, which was fair play to the obviously the pitch supervisors to let that happen. I think Tip made 8 changes. It was obvious that the guys that started knew that they were getting a jersey that they wanted to play to the best of their ability to hold on to that jersey, and that's exactly what transpired. Very good game from Tipperary's point of view, played very well. Opposition were disappointing, we know that, but having said that, the lads rolled up the sleeves. Willie Connors was captain, Conor Staken was outstanding at midfield, and to see Josh Keller and those guys sallying through, Gerard O'Connor sallying through the middle, guys that haven't been regular starters, it was great to see as well. Jack Leamy, very good at corner forward, and I suppose Paddy McCormick got his goal. He's a young player, and I think Jason Ford, of course, his 310 was unbelievable. But above all, I suppose the team did what was expected of them, but bigger tests ahead, Ronan.
How impressed were you with Brian O'Mara's display at full back? It offers, like, everybody who's listened to this programme is a Brian O'Mara fan because of what he can do and what we've seen him do. And unlike other players, his versatility doesn't seem to count against him. Yeah,
and I just spoke to a Kilkenny man today, and they were talking about Hugh Lawler leaving Kilkenny.
Yeah, big void.
Yeah, he's gone travelling now. They don't know when he'll be back, but he's definitely gone travelling for quite a while. So they were just saying how hard it's going to be to replace him and get a full-back. They're trying Mikey Carey. So you can see full-back is a special place. It takes a special type of person to play there. Ronan Maher, has settled into that position, can play now at 3 or 6. And now, obviously, Liam Cahill, is grooming Brian O'Mara, because in different scenarios, when you think of Peter Duggan of Clare and these guys, that you'll come up against huge men on the edge of the square that may be different horses for courses. So Brian O'Mara, he's just that type of versatile player. Played outstandingly well last weekend. And, of course, Mikey Breen is no stranger to number 3 either.
That's
and I suppose all these guys...
Owen Connolly.
All these guys... Yeah, Owen Connolly. All these guys have to, facilitate themselves whatever position to go to, they know they need to play and they need to play well. So I think Brian O'Meara, hugely versatile, and has really come of age as an inter-county player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Lots of players. I was delighted for Jack Leamy because of the fact that the first half against Galway bypassed him a little bit through no fault of his own. Obviously, they're seeing something in training that they gave him another shot at it, and 3 points, I think, from him indicated a lad who's desperate to make an impression. Gearóid O'Connor is worth mentioning as well, because Gearóid we've seen at Fitzgibbon and what he's capable of. Himself and Brian were superb together in winning at Fitzgibbon, but the inter-county thing just seems to have gone off the boil a little bit for him, but he's got pucks of ability.
Pucks of ability, and he showed that in the bonus last weekend. Conor Martin playing at right half back from Kappa White as well. Our All-Ireland winning centre forward at minor and the 20 level. So these guys are versatile. They're able to play in different positions, and that's what Liam Cahill is looking to. So from everybody's perspective, I suppose, while the lads played well last weekend, Jack Leamy, it was great. His work rate was unbelievable, outright throughout the pitch, dispossessing, and scoring, but the important thing now to remember is looking forward. There's big tests coming down the stream, and that's why Liam would have been making sure that we had our 4 pints, in the back pocket before we go into these tests down in Cork next weekend. Then obviously Limerick coming down the tracks as well. So we're going to probably encounter a better pitch. Huge atmosphere in Cork. The ball is going to be flying it like obviously Páirc Uí Chaoimh's pitch is like a billiard table. So from that perspective, it's going to be a totally new game for both teams. They think there could be in excess of 30,000 at the game, which... Well,
as far as I understand, the stand tickets are all sold. So if you are thinking to go down to the park next Saturday night for 7 o'clock throw-in, you're going to be standing probably in the Blackrock end.
Yeah, it just goes to show you.
In fairness, the Cork public haven't jumped ship or abandoned ship. They're still very much behind that team. It is mouth-watering. I can't come up with another phrase to describe it.
Yeah, and Ben O'Connor didn't hide away from that, the other night. He said, we're looking forward to Tip coming down, but also we've got to keep our eye on the bigger picture. Like, the bigger picture here is obviously to play well against Cork. Liam will be looking to performance one. And the second thing to remember is there's bigger tests ahead. Obviously, the main fixture is going to be next April, the end of April in Thurles. That's going to be Munster Championship fixture. So you can get too familiar with each other as well, but obviously Cork are out to make a statement. Their spectators and supporters are so hungry for success, and obviously Ben is a crowd favourite as well, no more than Pat Ryan was. So the hunger for success brings out people. They want to see people playing, and of course they want to see the All-Ireland champions coming into the Lee side and seeing what they're about. So very interesting what's going to happen this week. I'm sure Liam again is going to train his thoughts as regards workload on players, who's playing Fitzgibbon, who's involved in club games, who's carrying maybe knocks. We've only a 6-day turnaround from the Offaly game. That's very little, back in training tonight, probably training Thursday night. So guys playing with colleges. So, the management and their S&C team and medical advisors will all have a say in this group of players that will the first 26 that will play next weekend. Yeah, indeed. Looking forward to it already. Ken, thanks as always for your time this evening. Anytime, Ron. Thanks indeed. Ken Hogan joining us there. He'll be on duty next Saturday night in the park as Tipperary take on Cork in the third round of the National Hurling League, a game you can hear live here on Tipp FM. JJ Kennedy's on the line. JJ, good evening to you. Hi, Ronan. Nothing unremarkable to report from Tullamore, I think is how you started your column this week, which is pretty apt. We were hot favourites going into it. I was expecting more of a challenge based on what I saw from Offaly against Kilkenny. So, it just shows you at this time of the year, weeks can fluctuate wildly. Limerick weren't great against Waterford. Lots of things are going on. Yeah, and that's probably a typical aspect of league hurling, that you get these sort of ups and downs from game to game, because it's that time of the year. Teams are training very, very hard, and it depends a lot on what goes on the previous week before the game, and so you can't have that sort of erratic type of results.
certainly looking at Offaly against Kilkenny in Nolan Park, you would have said that, we need to be careful of these guys. They looked useful that day, and Kilkenny struggled against them, but they really weren't at the races on Sunday last. It was one-sided for too long. In fairness to them, I guess, they announced 4 changes from their starting team presumably because of injuries or whatever. Though I'm not too sure how serious the injuries were, because those 4 who didn't start did come on. Did
Screeney and the other lad have some Fitzgibbon commitment during the week, though?
That's it, and I think it was probably just a case of protecting them. I suspect that, from Johnny Kelly's point of view, perhaps he's probably looking next week at the Waterford game as one that he has to target to try and get some points out of this league, because they're going to struggle, I think, to stay in this particular division. So it wasn't, from that perspective, it wasn't much of a game for Tipperary. They were hot favourites, as you said. They were always going to win it, and it was a matter of getting through it as easy as possible without any injuries and without any other hassle like sendings off or anything like that. And they pretty well did that. They did smoothly enough. I thought the established players, the Jason Forrest, the Brian O'Mara's and so on, really leading the charge and showing the way for the younger lads. But it was very smooth, and it was over long before the end.
One thing I didn't realise until I read your column actually was that I think Offaly went 17 minutes in the second half without a score, which you're never going to win a match if that's where you're at. Was that just testament to how dominant Tip were, that Offaly just couldn't get in the ball, couldn't feed the forwards, or was there more going on?
Yeah, no, it was. I guess you need to factor in the fact that there was a strong enough wind there as well, and Offaly had that wind in the first half. But I think the penalty that Tipperary got just before half time really just turned the screw really on Offaly. Mind you, it was a penalty we wouldn't have got other years. I think there is a major emphasis on these penalties at the moment, which is something that we need to take note of. They're at last implementing the cynical foul rule, but it was Andrew Ormond was dragged down, and Jason Ford really buried the penalty. That was just before half time, a few minutes before half time, and then immediately after half time, John McGrath comes on in the second half, and a couple of minutes into the second half, he bags another goal, and it's over at that stage. And it was just playing out the time from there on. Offaly did well enough in the first half with the wind behind them. They did bother us a little bit, high ball into a very tall full forward, caused some unease in there, but. Really, as the game wore on, Tip were just masters all over, and could have racked up even a higher score than they did.
We'll come to Cork in a minute. Tom is with us as well. How are you, Tom?
Good, Ronan, thanks.
Interesting cameos from the likes of Josh Keller, Paddy McCormick, Jack Leamy, Conor Martin. Young fellas who they're chomping at the bit for an opportunity, and they know that there's 10 other fellas chomping at the bit who haven't had their opportunity yet.
Yeah, well, that's how you strengthen your experience base, I suppose. Really, that I had Sean Knuckles last week, but the second one was Nenagh and Keel Reveal, like that. They have to, that's have to get experience. You won't have sense before you have to. The older you get, the more sense you should get. But these fellas are getting good class experience now. I mean, Offaly probably the way the thing is materialising, Offaly and Galway probably would be two of the we call it the easier matches in the group to start with, but at the same time it's experience, and it's daunting enough for young fellas going out their first day in the Tipperary senior jersey, and like they're not worried about the opposition or the quality of the opposition or whatever, but just to go out and do it in the environment that they're going into, like, and the confidence comes from that, like, and I mean, I suppose Jack Leamy is a case in point. Ball didn't run for him the first night against Galway, but like got put in last Sunday, and delivered with 3 points, and that's bound to be good for his confidence, and it's his personal confidence as well that he's going to get the second chance, that he's not being judged on his performance against the first evening against Galway, which was not great even to test the lad, but got his second chance and delivered, and that's how you strengthen your experience base. And them lads then won't be a bit phased if they're asked to go in next or they start next Saturday, or they have to go in, or whatever they have to do. Well, they'll be confident knowing that they were in the last day and they delivered, and management will know that too.
And JJ, you know, it is a very different animal next Saturday night, because it is going to be 30,000 plus based on the stand ticket sales that we've seen so far. Probably a raucous enough atmosphere, perfect place to blood a young fella, but you're asking a lot of them as well.
Yeah, I suspect that Liam, you know, will lean a bit heavier on the established players for this one. I think he has to. This is huge, and probably bigger for Cork maybe than it is for Tipperary in a sense. You know, this is the one that they would have been waiting for. And I'd imagine when they saw the fixture list, this is one that was immediately underlined and said, this is one we have to be ready for and make some sort of a statement in it for all sorts of reasons. And so it's going to be tough. They're going to go full blooded for this, I've no doubt about it. And the way that Ben O'Connor is talking, of course, is adding more fuel to the fire in that sense.
Is this his manliness talk? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, it's rubbish talk, really.
It is absolute nonsense. Yeah,
he has been at this for some time. I don't know what game of hurling he's looking at where he sees manliness being removed from the game, because I don't see it happening. But anyway, he's that's his style, and that's the way he's approaching it. And it probably long term, I don't think it will do Cork any good if they lean too heavily in that direction. They were fortunate at the weekend not to have a few players sent off, certainly not to have one sent off at least. But Tipperary have to sort of brace themselves for this one and be ready for it. I mean, winning isn't an absolute imperative. We'd love to win, of course, and they'll go and try and win, but it's not the end of the world if you don't win. But you would be looking at the performance, and I'd imagine the team selection will be interesting, but I'd imagine he will lean back a bit more on the more regular guys, and maybe with a couple of the newer guys in there. But certainly it has to be a strong team, I think, and this is going to be a fascinating game. As you say, it's going to be it's sold out. I understand this. The two stands are sold out.
Two stands are sold out. Blackrock Terrace tickets are available still. Yeah. At the moment, that's all they're opening, as far as I understand. But is there not a case, Tom, that you got to keep something up your sleeve for the game in 11 weeks' time at the opening round of the Munster Championship? That you don't want to show your hand. That if you not disagreeing with what JJ said, but if you lean on the established players a little bit too much, you're kind of showing what you're going to be showing in Thurles in the opening round championship.
But there's so much. We're saying that in the current game, Ron, there's so much analysis and physio analysis, psychoanalysis, all sorts of analysis, and you kind of wonder at the end of the day, like one bounce of ball can change the whole thing. But I think I think that it's important that a statement both ways. I mean, Ben O'Connor is saying this and he's saying that, and JJ's right. Like, Cork's, manliness. There's a difference in manliness and well, call it one word: dirty play.
Tuggery. Okay, fair enough. I was waiting for you to finish that sentence there.
No, dirty play.
Okay, all right.
But the fight back by Downey was merited more than it got. It got nothing, actually. Now, I wouldn't have a huge problem with the Coleman tap on the helmet. Like, it's only a tap. I mean, sort of, why do lads wear a helmet? Tussin delivered with any great force around that. I think yellow card was plenty for it, like, even though my great friend, quote unquote, Cathal Murray comes up with, he just doesn't like Tipperary people, and I can still translate what he's saying. And it's one thing when the Galway lad does it. It's something different when it's an opponent does it. So, I think that the refereeing team is coming in for a little bit too much
criticism, analysis
as well. But no, I think Tipperary would be important that they will have a bit of experience, but there'll be no surprises in whether it is what Tip play on Saturday night or what they play in 11 weeks' time. That won't be surprising to Cork, but they'll know what they'll be meeting either days, because they'll have met it before and they know what to expect. And it'll be important. I mean, would be, you look at the thing after the first 2 weekends and say, well, like the Galway they came to Thurles, okay, we were kind of saying, yeah, they performed okay, like, but they possibly could and should have beaten Cork last Saturday night above Saturday night above in Salt Hill. Like their own inadequacies in front of goal,
yes,
is what beat them. There's loads of questions, and it's much the same Galway team that we dispatched with. No, they caused us trouble for a while, but when Tipp put on the burners towards the finish, we moved away, albeit got probably a fortuitous goal, but at the same time got away from it. And then, like, Cork are going to have questions to ask themselves. They'll have lads with something to prove after last weekend too, because Ben O'Connor, if he's looking for whatever he's looking for from his team, won't have been pleased with a lot of the basics that weren't good. Now, when like the Brian Hayes and them lads appeared around the place, yeah, they're a different animal, all right, and Barrett was very good too, like, but I mean, Tipp won't be surprised of what'll come out in front of them next Saturday evening either, because like I said already, not a lot of the mystery has gone out of this stuff, because this players, they see so much of the opposition. They're seeing him in Fitzgibbon, they're seeing him in challenge matches, they're seeing him on videos, and it's all there, like, and I don't think there's any surprises anymore, like.
Well, let's see. We'll talk next Monday night and see what surprises Páirc Uí Chaoimh has, if any, for us. Gentlemen, I got to go on to other sports, but thanks indeed for your time tonight. I look forward to talking to you next week.
Thanks, Ronan.
Thanks indeed. That's JJ Kennedy and Tom McGrath with their thoughts on Tipp Offaly and looking ahead to Tipp Cork, as I said, available here on Tipp FM next Saturday night. We had a number of nominations for the Tipp FM Sports Star of the Month for January. It'll come as no surprise that Upper Church Drumban were nominated, beating Turin in Croke Park in the All-Ireland Intermediate Club Hurling Final. Nenagh CBS beating Flannans of Ennis in the Harty Cup Final last Saturday. That was in January and therefore included. Ursuline Thurles beating Ballincollig to win the Munster Senior A Schools Camogie title, and also won the Munster Junior A Camogie title the previous weekend against Prez of Thurles. And Stephen Rosny, the Nenagh darts player who won a professional PDC tour card in January, came through over 500 players to win one of only 5 tour cards on offer. Those were the nominations. Delighted to tell you that after the deliberations of the higher echelons in Tipp FM Towers, Upper Church Drumban are the Tipp FM Sports Star of the Month for January, having beaten Turin in the All-Ireland Intermediate Club Hurling Final. Upper Church Drumban win the award for January. We will have more on Extra Time in just a minute.
Extra Time on Tipp FM. The Tipp FM Sports Star of the Month with the Talbot Hotel Clonmel. Multi-award winning wedding specialists with state-of-the-art leisure facilities and spa with food served daily.
The Tipp FM Sports Star of the Month.
Get your nominations in now.
Lots of texts coming in as well. The most pleasing thing from our point of view was that we dogged Offaly, and we will dog Cork again on Saturday night, says one texter. Another one says, I'm really impressed with the warrior that was Conor Stakelum, but Josh Kelleher has been a standout with his aggressive line breaks, says one texter. Somebody else suggests that Brian O'Mara could well be a future captain of Tipperary in years to come. Our text number is 083 311 3311. Tom McGrath's back. How are you, Tom?
Oh, that's a good one. I changed in 2 minutes.
I dropped you prematurely. I'm sorry. My apologies. I do apologise because I want to talk to you about Tipp football. Now, Tipp got a good win over Antrim on Sunday, and there was a bit of lukewarm reaction to the draw against London, but we have to have a bit of context here. London went and beat Longford at the weekend, which perhaps puts in Longford, correct? So I mean, we've 3 points from 4 games. We're exactly where we wanted to be, I'd say.
3 points from 2 games.
I apologise, 3 points from 2 games. Can't even count now. So I'd say we are where we wanted to be.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I missed a point last week, a point gain, a point loss, whichever it was, and general consensus was possibly a point loss, but no, not the way things have worked out now. Longford, and then, like, there's only one team ahead of you as Carlow, and Carlow have to come to Thurles, like, so look, it's the home games, like, reinforce the point again. Your first match, and then you're in any competition, and then the home games after that. Like, we have 2 away games and 3 home games now. Like, so it's a bit in our own hands, like how we deal with it. Now Longford could have a say in this yet, like, because it's just their first match. their first match against Waterford didn't get played because of pitch conditions, so they're both down a match. But the one that will possibly cause us a bit of grief, or potentially cause a bit of grief, is going to be Waterford.
Yeah,
traditionally Waterford give us trouble, Leitrim give us trouble, and I suppose Carlow have beaten us in more recent years as well. So, look,
they've beaten us in Tailteann Cup as well. Yeah, Anthony Shelley's with us. Sorry, just before I come back to you, Tom. Anthony Shelley's with us. How are you, Anthony?
How are you, Ronan?
You were in Moneygall. What was your takeaway from it?
Yeah, it was. Look, it wasn't a classic by any means, but I think if you were a soccer pundit or whatever, you'd be saying it was a good professional performance. The going was very heavy over there. Tipp bossed the game for large parts of it, and I thought it was a 4-point victory in the end, and I would have said, yeah, that was a fair reflection on the game. It was never going to be a classic, cold day, heavy pitch. It was. They dug in well, did well. Probably left Antrim in it. That would be one thing that Niall will probably take away from it. We've got to be more clinical in front of goal. But yeah, a well-deserved win, I would have said.
Were they more efficient in front of goal?
Tipp?
Yeah, like was there capitalisation rate up?
Get the shots off, Ronan. It was just. And I would say that we were shooting from the scoring zone as well. Like we weren't going for mad 2-pointers from out there the sideline. But you would say that there was a few very bad ones in the first half. I think we had 6 or 7 in total, which might have made things a little bit easier for us in the second half. It took us a long time to find our range consistently, but once we did, Sean O'Connor got the last 3 points of the game. We controlled that game. It would have been very disappointing if we hadn't put them away, because we were definitely 4, 5, 6 points better team on the day.
It all comes. Who's next? I can't find the fixture list in front of me.
Carlow and Semple Stadium.
Carlow and Semple Stadium. And Tom, you were saying like that suddenly has a real humdinger element to it now, because Carlow are 4 points from 4.
Yeah, well, tis top of the table flash now, and it's only round 3, and it has 4 points. It's like borrow Anthony's soccer stuff there. It's a class in soccer to be classed as a 6-pointer, but in GA terms it's a 4-pointer. So I mean, win that, and you're in a very good position, because you're on 5, and with London likely to cause trouble to other teams as well. Like that, the walkovers are nearly gone in Division 4 now at this stage. That it's got competitive. Teams want to perform in it, because there's the carriage of the Tailteann Cup and all that type of stuff is there as well. Like, so they want to perform. They want to get playing against better opposition, and I think it's a bit of a slugfest now for the current Tipperary outfit in Division 4. They possibly could do better in Division 3 with the personnel they have and the age profile of what they have. But look, you can't. You have to win your way up into Division 3, and I think it's important that they would get up, because I think there's been a number of good under-20 teams there now, and allied to the more senior fellas that are there and still delivering, and good forwards, and no nerves, another lad in Dahiog on the weekend as well. That's like when you have, and Stephen O'Brien to come back into it, and you have different now. Stephen said for so long on Sunday, but like you get a potency about your attacking thing, and at the end of the day, like I did a quick look. It was the lowest winning total of the 16 league matches that was played the weekend, but then like our defensive thing was strong as well. That there was I think one of the lowest tallies that we conceded. I mean, anyone can see 1-9 was very meager.
In the modern game, and, it is,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like there was only a couple of teams below them. So no, you grind out these wins. I mean, it's a results-driven game, and if you win 2 points to 1, you get the same thing. You get the same 2 points for it if you win by 45 points to 43.
Yes, true. I got to fly. Tom and Anthony, many thanks for your time. I got to move, but thanks for your time tonight. Thanks indeed. That's Anthony Shelley and Tom McGrath after Tipp's win over Antrim in the Football League on Sunday. Tipperary ladies football lost to Cavan at home after their good win against Wexford first time out. They lost on a scoreline of Cavan 1-15, Tipperary 1-9. Geraldine from PRO of the Camogie board's online. How are you, Jerkanan?
How you doing, Ronan?
I'm going to come to Minor in a minute, but did I read somewhere that our under 16 girls won a Munster title?
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. They had a fantastic win over Cork in the Munster final. Brilliant, I suppose, to win a Munster final anytime, but I suppose all the more sweeter when you beat the likes of Cork, who I suppose have been dominant at that grade in Munster for a good few years. So they're out now this weekend, this Sunday at 2 o'clock in the first round, the All-Ireland series against Waterford at home in the Rag. So we've one cup, I suppose, in the Rag, and I suppose the All-Ireland campaign now begins this weekend, and fingers crossed, they're a very good under 16 side, and it'd be great if they could go all the way.
Excellent, fair play to them. Our minors got a win against Cork as well. Suddenly things are looking up.
Yeah, again, a brilliant win, I suppose. The Munster Championship started early, and a couple of weeks ago we lost to Limerick in the opening round. They went on and Cork bet them then last week in the Munster final by a point. So we were going up against the Munster champions in Cork. Cork went in fancy to this game, but I have to say the girls played absolutely brilliant. Really, really big performance from beginning to end, and they led at half time by 2 points. Got a goal, Elizabeth Kingston got a goal there in the second half, and then Cork staged a big comeback, but defensively we were excellent. Ciara Call at centre back, Ella Friend there, cornerback, really, really good, and we held on for a 2 point win. So 114 to 2-9 was the final score. So a fantastic win again. To beat Cork 2 weekends in a row is absolutely brilliant, and give the whole county a lift at underage.
When does the league start?
The Senior National League, that's the 14th of February. They're at or 15th of February, that weekend anyway. They're away to Antrim in the first round of the National League, so not too far away, but a few weeks ago, yeah.
Plenty of underage activity to keep us busy. Before I go, Ger, I haven't spoken to you since you won a President's Award for your contribution to Camogie. Richly deserved, Ger. Delighted for you. It's always a pleasure working with you and getting you to do things for us, and also your devotion to Camogie has now been rewarded at a national level, and I'm absolutely delighted for you.
Thanks a million, Ron. Yeah, it was a lovely honour indeed, and I suppose I suppose I'm still a bit surprised about getting it, but it certainly was a lovely honour, and delighted to receive it.
Well, it's good to see your work rewarded. Thanks for your time, Ger. I got to fly.
Thanks, Ronan.
Take care. Ger Canan with news of success for our under 16 girls Munster title, and our minor girls with wins against Cork in successive weekends. Pat O'Donoghue, Cashel Rugby Club's on the line. How are you, Pat?
How are you, Ronan? How's things?
Very well. You must be pleased with your away win to Greystones at the weekend.
Yeah, Ronan, delighted. It's 2 in a row now since the Christmas break. Things are coming back together again. We had a poor entrance into the break time there before Christmas. A lot of games we could have won, didn't win, beaten by small margins. But the boys had a good soul search over the Christmas period. They filled out a few surveys themselves and took responsibility. From 1 to 28, every one of them stood up, and we're back on track. I'm not getting too celebratory about it as yet. We have Ballymena at home on Saturday, which is a big fixture for us as well. But no, I'm delighted. With the boys have bounced. I'm delighted with they reacted.
Tries from Max Riley-Fox and Rob Carney were obviously important. Ben Toomey kicking as well for you.
Yeah, Ben was outstanding, I thought, on Saturday, Ronan. His cross kick for Tim Townsend's try was class. Now, we always knew he had it. It's just he was, it takes a while for these players to mature. Ben is still very young, but his left boot he's worked his weight in gold to us. Max Riley, then another young guy, 19, got his try, bit over exuberant. Then halfway through the first half, got a yellow card. But that's an idea of the intensity that these boys are bringing to the table. Like Joseph Lawrence, another young guy, Cashel, born and bred. He's into his second AIL cap, finished the 80 minutes, and a huge contribution from him as well. So they're blending really well together. It's great to see it, and the spirit is unreal, Rona, to be fair.
Well, I hope you have a big crowd on Saturday for that. When you entertain Ballymena, all these people are talking Six Nations to me. I wish they'd just go down to an AIL, their local AIL club for once, and not pay all this money going over to Paris to watch that match.
Do you know what, Ronan? You said a mouthful there, like, because even the game the last day against Greystones, I would rate it 10 out of 10 as regards, standard and speed and all that kind of stuff. These are amateur players we have who are training 3 nights, 4 nights a week. I know that the Six Nations is different gravy.
It is, but
but the good players will come through if we look after the IAL in its current format.
I completely agree. And poor old Nenagh, they suffered another defeat. They were beaten by St Mary's College. They scored 5 tries. Like, Nenagh are absolutely so. I have to give great credit to them because they're swinging, going out swinging every week. And okay, the results aren't going their way, but my God, they're entertaining.
But Ronan, take Nenagh as a case in point, right? They've gone all the way to 1B. You know what I mean?
1A.
There's massive 1A. Sorry, there's massive work involved in that. There's massive investment involved in that. I know what it's like when you get the monkey on your back, right? As regards not getting results on the field, it's very hard to shake it. But I'm confident Nenagh can do it. Yeah. They have a great bunch of lads. Fine panel. They have a great club.
Club.
That old Tipperary fight is in them, like.
Tell you, Nenagh, wouldn't bet against them if they were playing tiddlywinks at the moment up there. They're certainly on a roll. I got to fly, my friend. Thanks indeed, Pat.
Thanks, Ronan.
Not at all. Cashel Ballymena next Saturday, probably about 2:30 kick-off. Congratulations, Clonmel. They had a good win as well because they defeated Middleton 31-17. Very important because Thomond lost, so that means I think there's only a point between first and second in Division 2C between Thomond and Clonmel. Watch that one go down to the wire. Our text number is 083 311 3311. Before we go, a quick word with Pádraig Corcoran from the Tipperary Supporters Club. Pádraig, how are you?
Ronan, how are you doing? How are
Very
you?
well. Celebrating 40 years of the Sports Club. I think Babs was instrumental in setting it up back in 1986, and they've done huge things for Tipperary over the intervening 40 years.
They've done massive things. They put 3 million has got into the preparation of Tipperary teams since that time, and from someone who was born in 75, that really was the golden period. So we went from a time where we couldn't buy a win, and we just turned everything around. And the Supporters Club played no small part in it. And at a time, especially nowadays, when you realise how much money is required to prepare a team, it's not just a case of rocking up, training twice a week, and then turn up on Sunday and hurl a match. There's so much goes into it, and you have to be at the cutting edge of all the technology, nutrition, and the whole background team just to get it right,
And I think we got a glimpse of that in the Blue to Gold documentary that the Retake company made for us at Christmas. When you see the contribution that's been made by sports psychologists, nutritionists, S&C guys, it's hugely important.
It is. It's massive. You don't realise just how much is involved in a team behind the scenes just to get it right. Not just what the experts bring to the occasion, but the players need to know that everything is being done for them. You don't want guys walking on the field knowing that the opposition are so much ahead of them in terms of nutrition and psychology that whatever about what the psychologist brings, they have to know that they are taking on a team 50-50, given every single chance to go out there and do the business.
Yeah, it's an expensive business, and we sat down with 3 captains recently, with Brendan Maher, with Jamie Callanan, and with Tommy Dunn, and all 3 of them referenced what the Supporters Club did during their time with the Tipperary senior hurlers.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great video. I mean, it was a fantastic night just to get such an insight into it. And they really emphasised the bonding between the players, and especially the training trips away. I mean, it sounds like a holiday camp sometimes, but when they go on these camps, they train morning, afternoon, and sometimes evening, and it's just non-stop. All that's funded by the Supporters Club, and it just brings the guys together. And I think Brendan mentioned a few times coming out at one of those training camps, just they knew they were in with a chance of winning an All-Ireland that year, just from what that brought to it, So Tommy as well kept reference a few times, of what a difference it made, and just the difference it made to the whole setup. That when he joined Tipp, it just became such a professional setup when he really saw what it takes to win an All-Ireland.
Give us the website address where people can sign up for membership of the Supporters Club.
It is TipperarySportsClub.com.
Simple as that. And for that, I mean, you certainly feel like you're playing a part in the Tipperary preparation. There's lots of other benefits as well. I think you're the first to find out team news. That's even before the media. Fair play.
Yeah, probably before some of the players, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so,
yeah. Yeah, but then you're in a draw for tickets for every game.
Yeah.
If we get to an All-Ireland, you're in a draw to get 2 nights accommodation in Dublin for that. So
there's plenty of benefits.
Stuff, so it's really benefits, yeah. And the main thing is to remember, the money goes to preparing the team for the upcoming year. It's not a case of you join up and everybody gets a holiday out of it. It really isn't. It really is to get the team in the right position. And we all saw the benefits of it last year and the joy and pleasure brought to everybody in Tipperary just to win an All-Ireland. So that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
We're all in it together.
Porrick, continued success as a supporters club because our fortunes dovetail with the creation of the sports club back in 1986. When you consider the fallow years that you and I spent our youth in. Anyway, Porrick, thanks indeed for your time this evening.
Ronan, thanks for having me on.
Not at all. Take care. That's Tipperary Supporters Club.com is where you can join up, and if you want to see that video that the Supporters Club made with Retake, that's on YouTube. If you just put in Captain's Catch Up on YouTube, and it is a really, I think it's a good listen, but I might be a bit biased. Thanks indeed to everyone who contributed to tonight's show. We have bumper sport again for you next weekend because the high school are in action. Tipperary are playing against Cork in the in the National Hurling League. Tip are playing against Carlow in the National Football League, and we'll have analysis and reviews of all that next Saturday night. Good night and good luck.
It's 8 o'clock. The government met twice today to discuss recent flooding along the southern and eastern coast of the country. The meeting discussed additional